Hello, everybody, and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. My name is Don Arleth. The new European Commission was voted in today by the European Parliament. The proposed team garnered 370 votes in favor, 282 against, and 36 abstentions from lawmakers there in Strasbourg. This was the first time since 1999 that no country's nominee was rejected. Now comes the hard work. Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will present her proposals over the next 100 days on helping the bloc's companies meet the green goals for carbon neutrality, boosting European defense, establishing a vision for EU agriculture, and reporting on planned enlargement. Among other things, of course. Now joining me to discuss is Arancha González Laya, Dean at the Paris School of International Affairs at Sciences Po. Hello, Madame, and thank you very much for joining us on World Talks.
A real pleasure to be with you tonight.
Yes, now, based on the voting that we saw for this new commission, how strong is the mandate for it, given the fact that a narrower margin voted for the new commission than voted in favor of re-electing Ursula von der Leyen? Will this influence policy making of this next commission?
Well, you know, in European politics, especially in the European Parliament, the center of gravity of policy making is made of a coalition of different political forces. You've got the Christian Democrats, you've got the Social Democrats, you've got the Liberals, you've got the Greens, and this time around, the coalition is essentially composed of parts of these political forces, plus the political force of Giorgia Meloni in Italy. I think the president of the Commission has a clear mandate, but she will have to be careful to make proposals in a balanced manner if she wants to get the votes of the Parliament. So I think the important message today is that the Commission is up and running at a time of a difficult geopolitical landscape. Europe is ready to move. I think this is the message we need to have tonight.
And it's also quite remarkable that the first time since 1999 that no country's nominee was rejected.
Correct, and I think this is also, on the one hand, you see a majority that has voted for her that is smaller than on previous occasions. But at the same time, you also see parliamentarians realizing that this is not the moment for Europe to show weakness. This is not the moment for Europe to have doubts, that this is the moment for Europe to show strength. And I think this is also the signal that the Parliament sent tonight by not rejecting any of the candidates that she had put forward for commissioners.
Right. Well, let's talk about defense first, because Ursula von der Leyen has highlighted that the bloc is spending 1.9% on defense, while Russia is spending 9% of its GDP on defense currently, of course, in its war of aggression against Ukraine. How can the Commission actually boost this figure, and can it?
Yeah, first, I think on defense, Europe has to spend more, and it has to spend more not because Europe wants to turn into a war project. It's not a war project, but because today Europe cannot defend peace if it doesn't have the means to do that. And this is the sense, this is why at a time when conflicts are multiplying around the European Union, and we've got war on the border of the European Union, war on the European continent, Europe should spend more for its defense and its security. But it's not only about spending more, it's also about the spending it better. So maybe instead of each national government spending from its own budget, maybe it's time we think of repeating what we did during COVID, is to borrow together, to invest together in our defense. And maybe it's also time to invest more on our own defense industry in Europe. We are the region in the world that buys most of its weapons from outside our market. That is a bit of an anomaly. So spending more, spending together, and spending better, also boosting the European defense industry would be, in my view, the way to proceed.
Right. It's also recently been highlighted that Russia is currently producing enough military equipment, what it can do in a span of 3 months, I believe it is, what Europe is producing in 1 year. So can the Commission help countries pool this money together, as you mentioned, like was done in COVID before? Do you think there's going to be more willingness to do this to get more bang for our buck here on defense spending?
I think the Commission can certainly put proposals on the table, but what's most important is that member states start building a coalition around this idea. And let me tell you that Poland's voice in this respect, the view that Poland would put on the table on this, will matter a lot, which is why I think it's important that Baltics and Nordics and Poland are meeting as we speak today, precisely on defense. The message they can send, the message they will put on the table will matter a lot. And Poland leading on this message of jointly borrowing to invest together as a European Union will matter a lot.
Yes, well, Poland, the Baltics, the Nordics, they met today, of course, at this Baltic summit, promising more support for Ukraine. Now, if we look at the promises the European Union has made for the 1 million artillery shells, that was almost 2 years ago. You've got this Czech-led ammunition coalition that hasn't quite delivered as it expected. Yet, with all these countries promising to do more at the same time, how can we reconcile this? Can't we just live up to the promises that we've already made to Ukraine?
Well, I think on Ukraine, we should be proud of what we have achieved up until now. You know, at the beginning of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, conventional wisdom said, oh, the EU will split, oh, EU citizens will get tired, or the EU will stop supporting Ukraine. And so many months later, Europe is still with Ukraine in this war. And Europe is with Ukraine because Europe and European citizens have understood that Ukrainians' war is also a way to defend Europe. And despite, again, all odds and all projections, Europe is there. Now, can we do more? For sure we can do more, and we should strive to do more, especially because we can now see that Russia is trying to push to get an advantage over Ukraine. And we know that it's very important that Ukraine does not lose this war. So we can do more. I think the commitments from the European Union are firm. And Europe slowly but steadily is delivering on all the promises that it has been making, both on the budgetary side, which is very important also to keep the Ukrainian country alive and running, on the energy side, which is important as the winter approaches, as well as on the military and defense side.
Certainly. Well, now I'd like to move on to back to the European Commission and what they can do, what their proposals may be in regards to the Green Deal and getting companies ready to adapt to this policy of being carbon neutral by mid-century. Is there anything new that we might be able to expect, especially when we consider the Draghi report and how damning it was to European competitiveness? Even our own Prime Minister Donald Tusk has recently said that something will need to be done as far as energy is concerned, because right now having this disadvantage of, say, having energy 2.5 times more than the United States puts us at a really competition-wise disadvantage to the United States, and especially if we want to keep the pace with the U.S. and, say, China.
Yeah, I think on the energy front, the recipe is pretty clear. We are not competitive because we are not united, because we have not integrated the European energy market. Europe is decarbonating its energy mix, and many countries are moving very fast ahead. But Europe is not connected well enough. Its markets are not well connected, not integrated. And as a result of that, we are losing on competitiveness. So, a big part of what Europe needs to do on the energy front is ramp up investments on renewable energies, but also connect more and better the energy markets, complete the energy union, which we don't have. It's very clear that where Europe is not integrated, Europe is not performing. Where Europe is integrated, Europe is stronger. So we know that on energy, ramp up investments on renewables and integrate the European market, the union, the energy union. That's what we need to do.
Right, that's also something that our foreign minister, Radosław Sikorski, has been very adamant about. Do you see a potential for, say, as we wean off Russian LNG imports, Ursula von der Leyen herself said that we need to drastically increase the amount of imports of LNG from the United States, for instance. So again, if we pool our resources together and buy these in bulk, if you will, I guess in layman's terms, is this something that Europe can achieve together, and especially within the European Commission, making the initiative?
When Russia invaded Ukraine, we learned that the hard way that we needed to pool our efforts on the energy sector. We bought and we stocked energy together. And like this, we guaranteed that there would not be any part of the European market that would have no energy or too expensive an energy. So in the short term, it's true that we have to be clear about purchasing LNG together, just simply because it's going to be less expensive than if we do this, each one of us, for our markets. But medium to long term, our game should be to move faster to decarbonating our energy mix. Each country has a different mix. In some countries is a lot of solar, in others is a lot of wind, in others is nuclear. It doesn't matter, but we have to accelerate the pace because that will give us security and it will give us lower energy prices. And these are the two variables that we desperately need.
And hopefully a competitive advantage. Arancha González, Laya, Dean at the Paris School of International Affairs, Sciences Po, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate your insight.
Always a pleasure.
And that concludes this edition of World Talks. Thanks for joining us and stay with us for more here on TVP World.